There is a fairly standard Christian rationale for evangelizing to non-Christians, which is this. Christians preach to others and try to convert them to Christianity because they want to persuade people that their souls are in peril and that they will burn in hell if they don't become followers of Jesus, or as they put it, have a personal relationship with him. They will often tell you it's the same as if you were walking towards a burning building and they tried to pull you away from it. They want to take you out of harm's way. So basically, they think they are doing you a service. They want you to go to heaven, so they are prepared to haul you away from the threat of the fires of hell. And to them that's a good thing to do. It makes them feel warm inside. Doing God's work, getting people to believe, steering them away from harm. There are a few tiny problems with that, of course. First, the burning building doesn't exist. If you were walking down a street and someone grabbed you and dragged you away when there was no visible imminent danger, they'd be arrested for assault and probably given a psychiatric evaluation. It would get worse for them if they insisted that the burning building was invisible and that even though you couldn't see it, the flames were definitely there. So who told you that, says the doctor. My invisible friend, is the reply, with a further detail. He's the one who set the building on fire in the first place. So your invisible friend set a trap, something which will make you burn if you fall into it, and he did this because he really wants you to avoid it at all costs. That's right, says the patient. Okay, padded cell for you then. But let's take another scenario, one in which there's a bus full of young children, and the bus is driving towards a ravine, out of control. You're in a car alongside the bus, and you realise that if you drive your car into the side of it, that will deflect the bus just enough so that it avoids the ravine. The children will be saved. It's a no-brainer. You'd steer into the bus and save them. So again, this is something like the burning building story. If there was a real situation, you'd act to help people in peril. So let's say that you're so close to the ravine, both the bus and the car, that yes, the bus load of children will definitely be saved, but there's a chance, a real chance, that your car will be thrown into the ravine and you will die instead. Now that becomes a different scenario. Now we're talking about sacrificing your own life for someone else's life. In fact, multiple lives. Would you still do it? Would you risk your life to save so many others? So back to those Christians seemingly desperate to pull us all out of the fire. The hellfire, which God set up to burn you forever if you don't worship him. Tell me this, Mr. Christian Evangelist. If you could save 10 souls, or 1,000 souls, or even, let's raise the stakes, 1,000,000 souls, would you do it? Of course you would. But wait, here's the deal. Those 1,000,000 souls get to live in heaven on their little clouds of joy, but, in return, you lose out and you have to spend all eternity burning in everlasting torment. Your soul for 1,000,000 others. Deal or no deal? Would you do it? Remember that God's ultimate punishment is everlasting, eternal. There's no escape. Once you're in hell, you're cooked, literally, forever. Would you be prepared to be as selfless and self-sacrificing as all that, to endure that torment so that others could be spared? No, I thought not, because in this case, this special case of getting to heaven and being with God, there is no way any Christian I've ever come across will be willing to pay that price. If it means them losing out, they aren't going to risk it. No way. Not for 10, not for 1,000, not for 1,000,000 other people. They want to be close to God. They believe it's their duty to get there, and they'll not give that up without a fight. Well, you could say that the Christian martyrs of the past have sacrificed their own lives for the sake of others. But they did that in the full understanding that there would be payback. They'd get new lives from God, and their own personal suffering would end once they were dead. They did it believing that there was no actual risk to them, or at least no risk to their souls. In that respect, it's not a sacrifice. There is, of course, the big one, the one likely response to the scenario I've described here. Nobody has to pay that price, because Jesus Christ already paid it. He sacrificed himself so that everyone else on earth could be saved. Except, Jesus was supposedly the Son of God, and according to most church doctrine, one part of the Trinity. So Jesus was God, the all-knowing God, the all-powerful God, who would know that he wasn't actually going to die, or at least not die and stay dead. He would know that he'd be alive again 3 days later, and that he would live forever in heaven. Where exactly is the sacrifice in all that? If that would save billions of souls, great. But I could do that. A bit of whipping and death on a cross, and everyone is saved, including me. What's the big deal? There are far worse deaths than crucifixion. Far worse. And remember again, he was sacrificing himself to save us all from the danger he put there himself. God set fire to the building. God makes sure we are all walking towards it. God supposedly sacrificed his son, who was actually part of himself, to warn us of the trap he himself set. And after all this, despite sacrificing himself, the burning building is still there, and we still apparently have to do our best to walk away from it. So why did Jesus even bother? I don't see the sacrifice there at all. Jesus didn't sacrifice himself. God didn't sacrifice his own son, because hey, the son lived, and anyway, God is the son and the son is God. That Trinity thing again, they're all one and the same. And Christians believe that God and Jesus are both very much alive and well. So who died? Isn't sacrifice supposed to mean the permanent loss of something valuable? 3 days is not a permanent loss. So where is the sacrifice? I'd be far more impressed if the Bible said that Jesus died on a cross and is now burning in hell so that we don't have to. That would be a sacrifice. But no, he died and rose again. Well, I'm up for that. Crucify me and give me eternal life, and I'll save the lot of you, no questions asked. If that is all it takes, bring it on. It's like the car and the busload of children. We all live, we're all saved. It's easy to perform a selfless act if there's no risk to your own safety. So Christians, they'll talk to you endlessly, they'll knock on your door, they'll make your life a misery with all their preaching and guilt and bad-mouthing of your lifestyle, just because that's what they think will get you into heaven, apologising for what you've done and worshipping God. If there was some other way to do it, no doubt they'd give that a try. Unless, of course, it was at a personal risk to the safety of their own souls. That's the line no Christian would ever cross. They will do anything to save themselves, if that's what it takes, but I'm convinced that few, if any, would go that extra mile, not even that extra step, to save you. Not if it put their salvation at risk. They want to take you out of harm's way, safe from an invisible threat, but are in no way prepared to put themselves in harm's way in order to help save you. So just ask yourself, do you really want to spend an eternity with someone who, given the choice, will probably let 1 million people burn forever, rather than take their place and let them all be saved? If Jesus wasn't prepared to do it, why would any Christian? And if Christians won't pay that price, how much is their reward, their place in heaven, really worth?